I'm going to demonstrate the slipped stitch section, which is section 2 of the Aquinnah Cowl. And while I'm here, I'm going to show you about changing colors, the twist to carry your yarn up at the beginning of the round. One of the things that can be a challenge with the Aquinnah Cowl, if you choose colors according to the pattern, is that I suggest a tonal and a variegated with low contrast. Actually, it looks like there's a little more contrast here than there is when you're knitting with them. If you look at the cowl, you'll see it brings the color out of the variegated, but it's very subtle. And at times when you're going, you can even pick up the wrong yarn. So paying attention to the fact that for the beginning of section 2, I've just finished a round with color 1, or my variegated. I'm going to drop that yarn before I pick up color 2, so that I don't have a gap at my beginning of round. Going to drop the working yarn that I just finished knitting even with over the top of color 2, which is my tonal yarn. I'm going to pick up my tonal yarn from underneath, and almost as if I'm doing intarsia, if you've worked intarsia color work, I'm going to move my balls of yarn so that there's a twist here. And that twist doesn't need to be too tight, just enough so that when you carry your yarn up, you're not leaving a hole in your work. Okay, and now I'm going to show you the slip stitch section. So with color 2, I'm now on round 2, having just completed round 1, which was a knit even round. Round 2 with color 2 is knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front to the beginning of the round. So after twisting my yarns, I hold this yarn that I was just working with to do my first stitch for tensioning. I'm going to knit 1, give that a little tug, let go, bring it to slip 1 with yarn in front. So I'm bringing my working yarn to the front. I'm going to slip my next stitch purlwise, which is generally how you want to slip stitches unless a pattern says to slip it knitwise. So purlwise, I'm going to put my needle in as if to purl, but not make a stitch, slip the stitch from my left needle to my right needle, bring my working yarn back behind the work so that I'm ready to knit the next stitch. And that round is quite simply knit a stitch, bring your yarn to the front, slip a stitch purlwise, bring it to the back, knit a stitch, bring it to the front, slip a stitch purlwise. One thing that can happen when you're slipping stitches like this is you can do it a little bit too tightly, so you don't need to consciously do anything loosely. It's just making sure that as your stitches go, you're moving them down the needle so that they're not getting all bunched up like this, and you're not having enough of a slip stitch to make a nice pattern without it pulling in too much. So just continue to move your stitches down, and you'll see that that pulls your slip stitch just enough so that it will make a nice pattern in the end. Slip, oops, I'm sorry, that one was supposed to be a knit. Bring it to the back, knit, to the front, slip, to the back, knit, to the front, slip, to the back, knit. And simply do that all the way around.